I'd like to go ahead and call the Tuesday, January 21st, 2014 meeting to order. If you all please rise, we will have our pledge and our invocation read by our city attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Heavenly Father, may our efforts be blessed with insight and guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faith give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. We meet to serve the city of Oldsmar, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and our community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and once again, welcome. Hard to believe, only 11 months till Christmas. Time is flying already. The first item on our agenda is the Citizens Open Forum. It gives you a chance to address the City Council. We only have a couple of rules, that you don't address anything that is on the agenda for tonight, that you state your name and address clearly for the record, and that you keep it to 5 minutes or under. Anybody from this side of the room wish to address the council?
Are you on this side of the room?
This is the first time I've done that, Mr. Beaver. Please give me a break. I've known you all my life, sir. Please. Hi, my name is Tom Peterson. Born and raised here in Oldsmar. Born and raised here in Oldsmar. Known Mr. Beaver for a day or two. I'm here to change the fishing tournament, the name, instead of it being Ariel Zerby, I would like to propose it to be the Bob Seymour's Memorial Fishing Tournament of Oldsmar, because Bob dedicated 6 years of his life to the fishing tournament, and he did wonderful things for these kids at the Oldsmar Park. It was just phenomenal. He was spent 12 years in the Navy, and I'm glad I got to know the guy as well as I did. Every extra minute the man had, he always was doing something for some kid. Somebody call, hey, I need a fishing pole, I need this, I need that. Bob was right there on the spot. And, you know, I could go on and on. I brought some friends with me, Oldsmarians. We've all lived here.
Show of hands that are here with him tonight.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Great support group. I know Bobo. Yep, I remember Bobo.
So, you know, we would really love for you guys to consider changing the name of this fishing tournament.
Okay, we will turn that over to our Leisure Services Board for their consideration. From my perspective, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just kind of the protocol. We'll turn it over to them, and they'll make a suggestion or recommendation to us, if that's acceptable to you.
It is, and thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. And
Bob Seymour Jr. Tommy, tell them about the petition.
Oh, yes, I have, well, I gave that young lady there all the, what is it, 80 signatures we got from the party that his sister threw, because he couldn't make it, he was in the hospital because he was dying of cancer. So that's another thing I got. The people that couldn't be here tonight are there on paper.
okay, you have all the documentation? Okay,
Yes.
we'll turn all that over.
And I've
If you
got
need
all-
more, I can get more.
We have enough here. I have all of this that I'll give the city clerk. I'll give it to this,
He's got, yeah, Mr. Beaver's got more information, so.
and then,
So, thank you, please consider that, please. From somebody who's lived here for 49 years of his life, please.
Just come up.
Thank you.
We'll do that. Next.
Thank you, Jerry.
I just wanted to add that the signatures were.
Name and address, please, for the record.
Oh, Chris Johnson, I'm from Oldsmar too.
Address?
Well, I live in Holiday, 2711 Joanne Place. Anyway, the signatures were from one of the last fishing tournament he had, as well as the Celebration of Life. The documentation we provided Mr. Beaverland is things that he's done for the community as well.
Sure. It's
So I just
definitely
wanted to
something
add
to
that.
consider, absolutely.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
she'll place it in everybody's box at City Hall.
Anybody else on this side like to address the council?
Howdy. Mr. Beaverland, how are you?
Brian Berry, 309 St. Pete Drive here in Oldsmar, west, not east. But known you probably longer than anybody else. Anybody knows my mother Nancy Berry used to work at Pickwick, and we've been in Oldsmar for 35 years. The last fishing tournament they had in Oldsmar, Bob Seymour called me on the phone to come on down there. Then he called me that morning because he was too sick and ill to get out of his own truck, but yet he made it down to the tournament down at the Oldsmar Park. And I went down and helped Bob out of his truck, into his wheelchair, while the guy's dying from cancer, and he still had the mobility to sit there and go out on the end of the pier and enjoy what was the last fishing tournament for him. So I highly recommend this for Bob Seymour. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on that side of the room?
Can I just sign the petition?
We can probably, I don't know that that's necessary. I mean, I would sign it as well, but I think by the show of support from everybody here, it's clear that he's got enough support. Anybody else on that side? Anybody on this side like to address the council? Yep, Dan.
Good evening, Mayor Beavis, City Council, Dan Saraki, 1743 Split Fork Drive. This year I am the Vice Chair of the Oldsmar Cares Wine and Food Gala, which is going to be held at the Nielsen Cafeteria. We call it the Ballroom, on February 13th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I'm here tonight to just give the support of our sponsors and our restaurants. Overwhelmingly have dedicated their time and their efforts in making this event, our 4th annual event, a true success. Today I was handing out tickets to some of the restaurants and some of the sponsors, and just the faces on them makes your soul feel great that they're out here helping our citizens in the community of Oldsmar. We still have some tickets left. We have about 140 tickets left, and I'm here just to announce they're $30 each. And if anyone would like to help sell tickets, I'd greatly appreciate your support. And that's all I had to say this evening. Oh, and this poster is now being plastered all over the city of Oldsmar.
Is that the poster you've been holding back there to get the camera?
This poster is volunteers are going out today and just plastering the city. All the restaurants are hanging them up. And we appreciate all your support, especially to the city of Oldsmar. Thank you.
I took over there this morning, I think it was 7 bags of my beautiful wife's clothes. She cleaned out her closet, and
That's great.
It's probably cleaned out yours too.
Yeah,
You
we
didn't know.
clothing, food, whatever we need, we need it all. Thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate that.
It is a great cause, and it is not just a cafeteria. When they dress that place up at Nielsen and they're kind enough to step forward with that is just an event second to none out there whenever they put something on out there. So, and it's a great cause, and for $30 to get, how many restaurants?
We have 13 restaurants, and it's all local restaurants in the city of Oldsmar that are coming out to support with food, and we have wine vendors. We have, this year we have a wine and a beer vendor, so it's going to be a great event. It's going to be a great.
Pretty shoddy auctioneer out here though, so.
Yeah, you'll be there.
I will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room?
Oh, last thing, we have tickets for sale.
Sorry, your time's
Scott
up.
has tickets. Now I'm done.
I have tickets as well, so. Anybody else in the room like to address the council? Seeing nobody, will close the citizens' open forum. The next item is our consent docket. There are 4 items. I'll ask the city manager to just briefly explain the last one for the public. Approved minutes of the January 7th, 2014 city council meeting. Approved purchase of the sodium hydrochlorite from Tampa Bay Water contract. Approved payment to legal counsel. And the 4th item, waive bidding and authorize the city manager to contract for rebuilding gravity belt thickener at the Water Reclamation Facility, WRF, sole source. If you could just add a little documentation to the 4th item.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. This would be a sole source purchase in that the manufacturer of this equipment is the only one that manufactures or has parts available for rebuilding it. And so that's why I'm asking tonight that you waive the bidding requirement and authorize the purchase from the only authorized distributor for the equipment in Florida.
Yep, makes sense. Anybody wish to pull anything?
No.
If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion need a second?
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all passes 4-0, thank you. Next is the City of Oldsmar presentation of the Homer Brunson-Ward Schrecengost Award, and that will be me. We have a little clip to kind of give you an explanation as to what that is. I can ask Sarah
Homer
Lamb to
Brunson
come
and
up.
Ward Schrecengost Award was instituted in 1991. And what it was for, it was for one of our workers here in the city that was chosen by their peers to win the Ward Schrecengost Homer Brunson Award. And what the award is, it serves two purposes. One, to recognize an outstanding worker here that works for the city of Oldsmar. And the other, what it serves is that Ward Schrecengost and Homer Brunson were both council members here in the city of Oldsmar. Ward Schrecengost served as mayor for 16 years. His last year on the council serving was 1970. I had the privilege of serving with him on his last year. And Homer Brunson served 11 years as a council member and 1 year as a mayor. And this serves two purposes: to honor Ward Schrecengost and Homer Brunson, and to honor one of the incredible workers we have in the city of Oldsmar.
So that's the history of the award, and thank Jerry for doing that and spending the time. And we have Sarah up here. Congratulations. This is a great award, and as the video said, this is something that's nominated by your peers, by the people that you work with, that maybe you make their job a little bit easier, you go the extra mile and put in the extra effort. A lot of people in the city have job descriptions and job titles, but it's always the people that step out of the box and go above and beyond, and that's kind of what this award does. Let me give you a little something about what they wrote about her. Laserfish. Is that like microfiche? Kind of?
It's our document electronic records retention program that we use.
Okay. I remember microfiche. I don't know if that makes me old or not, but I also remember 8-track tapes too. So there are thousands of city documents that must be stored and easily retrieved. The city purchased the Laserfiche program to manage the storage of documents. Sarah was designated as co-administrator of Laserfiche because of her previous experience working with the program. As co-administrator, she assisted the administrator in ensuring that the documents were correctly entered into the system and assisted in training other employees on Laserfiche. And I've been in the city. They have a lot of documents. For a paperless society, we sure create a lot of paper. With the retirement of the code enforcement officer in July 2013, Sarah and Stephen Everett assumed the enforcement responsibilities. Good luck with that. Although Sarah's position does not typically include code enforcement, she willingly assumed the added responsibility. She spent many hours researching procedures as well as conducting site visits as a result of complaints. The expectation from complaints with code enforcement issues is that the issue will be resolved immediately. Sarah managed to respond to complaints in a timely manner, all while continuing to perform her respective job duties. As a result of Sarah's willingness to take on additional responsibilities and her commitment to the department and the city, the code enforcement program continued without interruption, and considerable personnel cost savings were realized. To summarize, considerable personnel cost savings were realized by her willingness to perform code enforcement duties instead of hiring an interim code enforcement officer. As co-administrator of Laserfiche, she provided invaluable assistance to the administrator, resulting in the successful implementation of the Laserfiche program. As co-administrator of the Laserfiche, she demonstrates excellence in interdepartmental cooperation. As co-administrator of Laserfiche and interim code enforcement officer, she performed duties not normally part of the senior administrator position. The new document management program was successfully implemented. The code enforcement program continued without interruption. And the sixth item, continuously worked independently to ensure that documents were correctly entered into the Laserfiche, ensured that code enforcement issues were resolved in a timely manner. Whew, man, busy. You didn't realize you did all that, did you? Well, here is a check for you, and we also get a day off, right? An extra day off. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. It was yesterday. Hope you enjoyed it. We all got it off, so don't feel bad. No, I'm kidding. That's right, you did. Here's the Homer Brunson-Ward Schrecengost Governmental Award presented to Sarah Lamb for her outstanding service, dedication, and leadership to the City of Oldsmar, 2013 fourth quarter. Congratulations. This is where you sing or address the council or the people. Who do you have with you? You want to bring somebody up here?
Come on, come on.
Yes, you have to come up.
Have to come up. Unfortunately, my husband's deployed. He won't be home until Thursday, so I brought the kids with me. Torture them.
Introduce them.
This is Alec, and this is Sydney.
Alec has no hands, I guess, right?
Actually, I'm ready to go to soccer practice right now, so.
Well, that's great. Want to say anything else?
I'm a Coast Guard wife. I live here in Oldsmar, right down the street, so I really love working for the city and being a part of it.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, and thanks to your husband for serving our country. Definitely. How about a hand for him, too?
But Mayor, I have it on a good source that she has been told that if her husband gets transferred, she stays here.
Congratulations.
Yep, I'm up.
The next item is something we also like to do, is acknowledging other people. It's the presentation of our Council Manager Award, and that's going to be Councilmember Norris.
I was told I have to use the microphone, even though I talk really loud. Hello, first I'd like to say, okay, first I'd like to say it's one of the favorite things that I love being on the council is all you guys, Chris, and I mean, all of you guys coming out for Bob Seymour to change the name and to have the petition and everything. It's wonderful to see this many citizens come out to support someone who's so well deserving, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
And it is my honor and pleasure to give this award today. David Wallace's, who I have to be here.
Linda,
That's not on.
I didn't think
it's not on.
that better.
No.
No.
Hello, hello. Oh. Okay, that's on. Okay, David Wallace was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and lived there raising his 2 children. He practiced architecture for 46 years and had his own firm for 33. And I believe your son runs it now, Dave? Yes.
Bring him up, Linda, bring him up.
Oh, come on up. Where's your wife?
She is very ill tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stay away from her right now because of it.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to touch that one. So your son does run your firm now?
Yes, he does.
Yes, that's wonderful. Okay, so you moved to Shore Drive in Oldsmar in '94, and you've lived there with your wife, Joan, ever since. And you've been very active in civic endeavors, serving as president of the Oldsmar Chamber of Commerce, co-founder of the Oldsmar Cultural Arts Foundation, designing the Oldsmar Band Shell. I just learned that today. I didn't know you did that. That's cool. And the Community United Methodist Church Sanctuary. Oldsmar Cares started 18 years ago because the Oldsmar Methodist pastor saw the need. David incorporated it in 2009, and Oldsmar Cares moved to 163 State Road 580, for everyone, in March of 2011. David has been changed and humbled by serving the clients of the charity. Today, David sits on the board of directors, is the volunteer coordinator, pantry manager, and has been the co-chair of the Gala fundraiser for the last 4 years. David loves Oldsmar Cares and loves to talk about and promote its accomplishments. And I just wanted to say that I was at Dave's house a couple weeks ago to pick up my tickets for the gala, and the timing of you getting this award is perfect because the gala is coming up on Thursday, February 13th at Nielsen from 5 to 9?
6 to 9.
6 to 9. And I was picking up my tickets, and we had a chance to chat, and I've been involved in nonprofits for 20, 25 years, and generally in the nonprofit community, there's two types of volunteers, two types of people that help. There's the people that donate their time, and then there's the people that donate their money, because a lot of times you can't do both, and people that want to serve, they do what they can. Well, David's a rare breed because he does both. He told me that he volunteers sometimes 25 hours a week, 25 hours a week, and doing all things from, helping out in the kitchen. I think you even said you were doing something with the garbage in the floors and everything. And then on the flip side of that, he donates, his resources. And I actually went on his plane and donated money. So he donated that, and none of that is cheap to do. So I'm just so honored to give this to you. You're so well deserving, and you deserve it so much.
Thank you very much. I am very passionate about Oldsmar Cares. It's a wonderful organization, and it's not any one person, it's a group. We have about 200 volunteers, and we served over 2,000 families in 2013. The city of Oldsmar has been instrumental, and without the city of Oldsmar, we wouldn't have a place to reside, we wouldn't have a place to work. They help in many different ways. We really appreciate it. We are always looking for good volunteers, people who care and want to help other people. We have a great deal of, quite a few people in the city of Oldsmar that come to us and need help. We do a lot of different activities through the community. Come and get involved. We need everyone's help to make this successful. Linda, thank you very much for your support through the years. We really appreciate it. And we all love Oldsmar, and we want to make it a better place to live and enjoy life.
Get a picture for you to take home your wife.
Yes.
Congratulations, David. That's great. You do a lot of great things for the community, and you don't do it because you have to. You do it because you want to, and that's a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Rivas, and thank you for helping with the Oldsmar Cares Gala every year. Our mayor will be the MC this year and auctioneer, and as he's done before, add and contribute to the gala.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to do it. Our next item is presentation to Chief O'Neill upon attaining Executive Fire Officer certification from the National Fire Academy. Our city manager, Bruce Haddock, will do that. I didn't recognize Dean all duded up out there. I said, where is he?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm very happy this evening to present a diploma to Chief O'Neill upon completion of the Executive Fire Officer program at the National Fire Academy. I think Michelle should come up here also, don't you think so?
Yes.
Nice to see you, Michelle. And yeah, I'm going to take this out. I thought about getting this framed, but then I wasn't sure that it would match the decor in your office, and if that's where it's going to go. I wasn't sure of that either. So after consultation with those who have better taste than I in these sort of things, we didn't get that framed yet. But also just a few comments about this achievement. The Executive Fire Officer program at the National Fire Academy is a 4-year program, so it's not something like you go away for a week and you come back and you get this. It's a lot more involved than that. I realize not everyone is perhaps even that familiar with the National Fire Academy, but it's the equivalent to law enforcement as the FBI Academy. So it's quite an accomplishment to complete the Executive Fire Officer program at the National Fire Academy. I think I ought to get it out of here.
You sure that's what was in there, I hope?
I checked it out ahead of time. And it'll look a lot better after it's framed. But this is in recognition of successful completion of the requisite courses of study and applied research projects at the National Fire Academy under the authority granted by the 111th Congress of the United States of America, and on recommendation of the faculty, confers the title of Executive Fire Officer upon Dean F. O'Neill, with all honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. So, congratulations, Chief. It's a big accomplishment, and I just wanted to, we all wanted to recognize you because it is quite a milestone. I know a lot of hours of work went into it, and we're proud of you, and we're just wanted to say thank you and congratulations. I noticed also tonight that several of our employees are here also. I think that some of them are here because of your getting this diploma. And I probably might leave somebody out, but just looking in the audience, I see that Pat is here and Deb is here. I don't know if Rick came for this or not, but yeah. Aaron and Tom and Chris and Kenny and Jason, and I don't know if I missed anybody or not, but I'm glad that all of you came tonight as well. Okay, I said enough. I'm sure you have a few comments you'd like to say.
Just a couple things I want to really thank people for. That this program's 4 years. I actually have to go away for a couple of weeks at a time, and I have to start by thanking Scott McGuff, who was the fire chief here when I started, and I'm sorry, he was the fire chief for all those years before I came here. And Scott got me fired up about continuing education, professional education, and the executive fire officer program. Said it was absolutely the best educational experience he'd ever have. And after completing the 4 years, I have to say absolutely it was. I want to thank him for that. Along with that is Pat, because I can remember Pat telling Scott and me several times, shouldn't you be working on a research project right now? We're pretty good about putting it off till the end. Tom and Aaron both covering for me during the times that I had to be gone. I had to leave for 2 weeks at a time to go to Emmitsburg, Maryland before doing this. And because of that, Michelle had to hold down the fort while I was gone. So a lot of folks helped me by letting me have that time away, including the city, being able to accomplish this. Great job for them being able to help me, and I really appreciate the time. Thank you.
And the
I
next
got the
item,
next one too.
Yep, the next item is, while you have the floor, the presentation of the Employee Service Award.
I'm very happy this evening to present a 15-year service award to Darlene Cadwallader. So Darlene, if you wanted to please step forward. Chelsea came with you tonight, didn't she?
You should come up here.
Well, all right. Let's do this together.
Time to happen all evening.
You got new glasses, didn't you?
I did. They make me feel smarter.
Good to know. Maybe it's time for me to get some new glasses. I'm going to have to keep that in mind and think about it. So, well, as I said, 15 years of service. You get a check for that. Service award in recognition for 15 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to Darlene Cadwallader, 1999 to 2014. So, 15 years. Well, I was thinking, if I really stretched, I could probably remember something from 1999, but that was a long time ago.
Like it was 1999?
Let's see. You know, this is probably a good time to let everybody know that they didn't know that Chelsea is Darlene's daughter, first of all. We didn't make that clear, but I did want to make sure everyone knew that.
She's also an introvert.
And the other thing is that Darlene is my neighbor, like better than a next door neighbor. And so Chelsea's been my next door neighbor also. That was just one reason I thought that you had new glasses. But they're wonderful neighbors. And that really probably has nothing to do with your first 15-year award, but I wanted to throw that in also. But going back, you know, I think that, so you got your 10-year service award. That's probably about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was I here that night?
Yes.
Okay.
So
For
was
some,
Chelsea.
were you here, Chelsea?
I was.
Wow.
You can't remember how she bounced up here?
Well, that didn't surprise me, so I guess that's why it was so memorable to me. But anyhow, tonight is 15 years, and all those 15 years you've been working at the Oldsmar Public Library, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It's very important that we get that part into the record as well. So a lot of people, of course, visit the library. Occasionally, you might see Darlene, but she's really not one of the frontline people. She has a lot of responsibilities, most of which deals with circulation, and materials come in and materials go out. That happens every day, doesn't it, Darlene?
It does.
And over the course of a month, there would be thousands of items that come in and go out.
Thousands.
And Darlene oversees that's a big part of what she does in that operation. Maybe you think it just happens. It doesn't just happen. It's because people like Darlene are there, making sure that it does function smoothly and that the materials that the public wants are there and readily available for them. So we want to thank you for your 15 years of service. Happy anniversary. Congratulations. And we appreciate the work that you do at the Oldsmar Library.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Should we give Chelsea your time?
I would like to thank the council and the city for recognizing employees for their length of time working for the city. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
See you in the driveway.
Oh, my God.
Now the fun part is over. Everybody's gonna leave.
Like some people clearing out.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for caring.
Mayor, how's that for a personality?
Yeah, I like it, believe me. I can relate. Our next item is Greenlight Pinellas presentation. Brad Miller is here from the PSTA. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'm honored to be here. I'm Brad Miller. I'm the head of PSTA. I'm a little bit nervous because I think I'm in your first agenda item that's not an award. And I didn't bring any family members with me here, but I have Walt Lenz, our senior IT guy, to be my helper on the technology for my presentation. Again, I'm going to give a brief presentation. Walt and I have been doing this quite a bit, as well as other PSTA members. We are going around to a number of different cities and giving this presentation about Greenlight Pinellas, with the hopes that you might consider maybe at a future meeting considering action on a resolution to weigh in, support, or endorse Greenlight Pinellas. A number of cities have done that. I don't see the presentation on this screen. I got it here. Okay. So I'll just start my presentation by just showing this graph that shows ridership on PSTA services. Transit ridership in Pinellas County, which includes Oldsmar, has never been higher in its history. It is at an all-time high. We just set another record, our third year of record ridership in fiscal year 2013, and we're so far going great in 2014 with a record ridership just last month in December. And that is a very good thing, that we have strong momentum on ridership. More and more people are seeing that transit has a value, because the County Commission, as you probably know, voted last month to put this Greenlight Pinellas plan on the upcoming November 2014 ballot. There will be a vote throughout Pinellas County for a 1% sales tax to fund a dramatically different level of public transportation throughout the county and replace the current PSTA property tax that is just under 3/4 of a mil levied across the county, including Oldsmar. So it's elimination of the property tax and replacement of the sales tax. And that has come after a year of planning, starting off by the PSTA board that I report to of 15 members, voting unanimously to ask the county to change its funding source for transit. And then that was followed up by 2 votes of the county back in February and just in December. I will say that I am happy to come to Oldsmar tonight to talk to you about it because your city manager and mayor have been very kind to me to give me a tour of your city and show what's going on here in Oldsmar. And then just, I think it was last month that I got invited to the Northern Pinellas Mayor's breakfast and talked to the mayors of Northern Pinellas. Tonight, actually, the city of Largo and the city of Treasure Island are both voting. I've just heard that Treasure Island has already voted to support Greenlight down in the southern part of our county. But what is going to be on the ballot is the Greenlight Pinellas plan. That is that's the plan that we have come up with for improved mass transit. So in 2013, when we were developing the plan, we asked mainly stakeholders and key leaders these 3 questions. We wanted to make sure that we developed a viable, credible plan. I know that I am accountable as the head of PSTA, but the PSTA board is accountable, and we're all accountable for delivering on that plan if the voters vote for it. And then trying to answer the question, what's in it for me? Well, in 2014, now that the county has put this on the ballot and there is going to be a vote, the questions are a little bit different, or we're trying to frame them a little bit differently. Number 1, does the Greenlight Pinellas plan that we have carefully come up with have value? Does it have value to Oldsmar? Does it have value to Pinellas County? Does it have value to you personally? What is the definition of a successful public transportation system, and does the Greenlight Pinellas plan deliver that? And then number 3, of course, does the council, do the citizens support this? I've died. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through those before I take questions. First, does this have value? I think there are a number of ways that could be described. I'm going to describe 5 ways that it might have value. Number 1, and what has been the number 1 reason for investing in transportation as we've developed these plans after plans that sit on my shelf, is always about creating jobs and boosting the economy. This plan, the alternative analysis identified that this plan would create 67,000 direct jobs in Pinellas County. And of course, the services that we provide, the transportation services, connect hundreds of thousands of people to jobs. This is a picture that I took with my own phone on the back of a Central Avenue trolley in downtown St. Pete heading out to the beach. And at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, it's not packed with tourists like it is the rest of the day. It's packed with workers that have Hawaiian shirts on them that say Trade Winds and Serrata. And the same picture can be taken at Clearwater Beach as you head out to the beach up in Clearwater. or in Dunedin on a Friday night on the Jolly Trolley. Many of those people are workers that are working on the beach where, of course, there's very little parking for them. And this is sometimes the only service that they have available to them. Unfortunately, right now, the service is somewhat limited, and so maybe it doesn't end when their shift ends at night, so they have to take a cab back across the bay, across to the mainland, and eating up half their savings. So this bedroom, which is a trade winds, or this lovely beach thing at the Sand Pearl in Clearwater, those don't get made without the workers and the support of our tourism industry that we have here in Pinellas County. And what this plan includes is a dramatic increase in service that will boost jobs. An 80% increase in weekend and night service is planned under this initiative. The second way is whether this will improve our community or how it might improve our communities. This is a map of the Tampa Bay region population growth or decline from over the last 10 years, with the pink census tracts showing decline and the blue ones showing growth. As you can see, almost all the growth in the region has been in eastern Hillsborough or eastern Pasco counties, which are the dark blue line areas. And I just read in the paper that 88% of all the homes built in 2013, new homes built, were built in eastern Pasco County and eastern Hillsborough County, with only 12% in the cities of Tampa, Pinellas County, or western Pasco. The reason is fairly simple. Pinellas County is essentially built out. There is no more, or not a major area of land to really build new homes on. How is Pinellas County going to compete and grow and attract those jobs into the future? The county will certainly change, but how can we make it change in a way that we want it to change? Perhaps one of the ways that we might be able to compete is by looking at a different type of transportation investment than we have been doing before. Now that we have no land to develop, new land to develop on, maybe we need to look at transit-oriented development, something like your city has already done quite a bit of, but that's a very important thing for the rest of the county, to look at how we might have a more sustainable land use form. Keep dying. Oops. That's what we have been doing under this Greenlight Pinellas plan all throughout 2013. We engaged developers and the cities and landowners, residents, in looking ahead to how they want their cities to grow. So this is a picture on the screen down in Largo, where we had meetings of all those stakeholders about how Largo wanted to change their community. This is how the rendering of what they came up with for the intersection of US 19 and Roosevelt or East Bay. And the current photo is the one on the right. I threw this picture in to know that, to just acknowledge that Oldsmar has already done this sort of same thing, and I got a tour of some of that in your community. How can your plans for a more walkable downtown and a more livable downtown with new development come to be realized without the investment in mass transit to provide workers and shoppers and visitors a way to get to and from this place? The less parking you have to provide, the more you can develop your community with commercial space. The plan also identifies ways to support your employment base here in Oldsmar with commuter bus services for the first time, with park and ride lots that will connect to our major employers, including much more frequent increased service in the peak hours to Nielsen and your business development park. but it's just as much about how we want our community to grow and improve, and areas that we want those to improve, as it is about preserving the lifestyle and the areas that we want to stay residential or the way they are now. And Oldsmar has many of those areas as well. The third benefit to Greenlight Pinellas is this provides many of us, all of us, a choice that we simply don't have today. I know many people look at this and say, well, I've never ridden a PSDA bus or never thought I would ever need to. Maybe I won't even ride this thing, even if it comes much more frequently. Well, it's certainly understandable if you don't ride it today or you don't think of it as a way to get down to a Rays game or for any purpose, because the service is largely very, very infrequent, coming every hour, or here in Oldsmar, I think it ends at 6 o'clock at night. That's not really a viable choice to anybody except for people perhaps that don't have cars. What you'll see under the Greenlight Pinellas plan is a totally different type of transportation. All the routes go till 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, 8 times as much service over to Tampa, and for the first time, direct connections to the airport. Will this totally eliminate traffic congestion on US 19? No, but for the first time, it'll be a choice that you don't have to sit in that traffic if you don't want to. It's perfectly legal to text and ride, and you can do that on public transit. Perhaps those are the choices that our younger generation are looking for as well, as far as being competitive for getting new college graduates to move back here from wherever they're going, or to look at Pinellas County as a viable choice for their job. Younger people are getting their driver's license at later age or not getting them at all. Their use of autos are down nationwide and here in the Tampa Bay, and their use of transit is up big time. And a lot of people say, well, that's just because the economy went down, perhaps. But I love the statistics that the few young people that seem to have made it pretty well and are already making more than $70,000 a year, transit ridership in that group is up 100%. And why? Is those that can choose where they want to live are choosing to live in places that have choices of transportation. And of course, riding public transportation provides environmental benefits. It provides a sustainable way to plan our land use. I don't think we want this road like they have in Brazil necessarily, or US 19 to become that. And last is financial equity. Again, this is a sales tax to replace a property tax. So you can do this for your own home, or anyone can go and look at this. But the average owner-occupied house in Oldsmar in 2010 was $195,000, and so they paid PSTA $106 in property tax. That goes to zero and is replaced by a sales tax. And the IRS has a sales tax calculator based on your income and number of kids that you have. And so an Oldsmar median family income would pay $121 in this 1% sales tax. So the net cost to an individual homeowner in Oldsmar is about $15 a year. And how can it be, how can the math work out that way? And essentially, if your home is worth more, or your business is worth more than $200,000, it's probably a wash, or you might actually save money. And how can that be to have a totally different level of transportation for a relatively equal amount of money? It's obviously because of the tourist market that we have, where a third of the sales tax, unlike the property tax, is paid for by tourists or non-residents. That's what the Greenlight Pinellas plan is. Prior to coming here to Pinellas, I worked in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Charlotte passed a sales tax in 1998 and did very similar things to what we're proposing to do. They went from the bus system, they also have a light rail system in Charlotte, but this is the bus map, went from the map on the left to the map on the right in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. That's what we're proposing to do as well. Go from the map that I now have up there on the left to the map on the right. The map on the left is very somewhat hard to read. The lines are very light blue because this is a map of how frequent the buses operate. We only have 2 routes that operate every 15 minutes. Most of the other ones operate every half hour or hour and end pretty early at night. Sometimes some routes don't even operate at all on Saturdays and Sundays, especially here in northern Pinellas County. Going to the map on the right, which is instead of a hub and spoke low frequency system, is a high frequency grid system across the whole county, including up in northern Pinellas County. But it's not a one-size-fits-all system. We have a number of different services proposed. Significant increases to our successful North County connector flex route, which comes here through Oldsmar now, which deviates off the main line and picks people up. An increase in our Jolly Trolley service. We're going to start a new Jolly Trolley service from Dunedin to Safety Harbor this February 1st, but even that is only on Fridays and Saturday nights and Sundays, and only operates every hour. Under the Greenlight plan, the Jolly Trolley services, and we could come talk to Oldsmar about whether or not the type of buses you would think are better for Oldsmar are trolleys or buses or whatever, will come much more frequently, every half hour, 7 days a week on the Jolly Trolley. Bus rapid transit lines on US 19 and express routes on McMullen Booth Road and East Lake and Tampa Road to downtown Tampa, to the Gateway Carillon area, and to the airport. And for the first time up here in the northern Pinellas County, park and ride lots. So if you have a car and you work in Tampa or you want to go to the airport, you can park your car. We have a star here in Oldsmar, or essentially somewhere around Oldsmar, where we'd have a park and ride lot where you could park your car and then you could catch the bus to your destination. So that's what the Greenlight Pinellas plan is. It is the proposed rail system from St. Pete to Clearwater, the bus improvements, come on, yeah, and the transit-oriented development planning that we've been doing. Now, what can Oldsmar, the City Council, do, or what is my ask of you? I think it's important that all of our leaders be advocates for what they think or how they think this might be able to improve their community. The goal, obviously, is to engage non-traditional voters. I think we're starting to do a pretty good job of that. There is a private campaign that is not being run by PSTA, but is being privately funded, that will start advocating on behalf of Greenlight Pinellas and reaching out more specifically to voters. And as I said, perhaps the council might consider a resolution of support, joining a number of cities that are considering similar endorsements. Many chambers have also supported this. I think that would be fantastic. But I'd be glad to answer any questions or hear any comments.
Yeah, that would be great. I know I have some comments and questions. I want to start with you. I know you do.
I got a bunch. Okay, first of all.
Thank you first for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation. I take probably better than 60% of it as vanilla. It's I like to have you explain to me how you're going to create 57,000 jobs. I don't believe that. You'd have a hard time convincing me of you're going to create 57,000 jobs. That ain't ever going to happen. Now, tell me how much of this money. First of all, I want to ask you some questions. Do you know how much money Pinellas County and Hillsborough County has spent over the last 25 years on this study?
Perhaps you might know. I don't know. It's a lot.
Between $1 and $2 million. And we're still right here, aren't we? We haven't accomplished a thing, have we? And here we go all over again, wanting money to do what? It never gets accomplished. Okay, let's say that you got a long ways to go to convince me. Bruce, I would have lost the bet this morning. You should have bet me. Because I bet him that you wouldn't bring up the fact that they would do away with the property tax, and but you did, so he won, and that's good.
Maybe he had this ahead of time.
It's a good thing you did, because I would have really jumped on that one. Okay, now here we go all over again, another $400,000, right?
Well, the studies were in addition
Yeah,
to 400,000.
Another 400,000 on top of $1.4 million, $1.5 million. So now we're getting close to $2 million over the last 25 years doing all these studies. I hate studies because they never accomplish a thing. If they would accomplish something, I would be happy. In fact, well, the city manager knows how I feel about studies. Okay, let's say this thing passes. How much money is going into the PSTA and how much money is going to go into the rail system is the money going into the rail system from Tampa into St. Petersburg?
And no.
No?
None of the money will be spent on rail in Tampa.
None of the money will be spent on rail.
In Tampa, that was your question. It will be
Pinellas
spent
County.
on Pinellas
in
rail,
Pinellas
yes.
County.
Yeah, yes.
Where?
There is a proposed rail line, part of the plan, in addition to the bus system, from St. Pete to Clearwater.
To what route? Or what route, wherever part of the country you're
It starts in downtown St. Petersburg, heads up I-275, and then comes off to US 19 in Pinellas Park, goes up through the Carillon business area, which is the biggest job area of the county, over, and then up past St. Pete Clearwater Airport, over Roosevelt East Bay, right through Largo, and then up to downtown Clearwater.
Okay, is this the same rail system that's there now?
No.
This is a new rail system?
Right. It is not the same alignment that I think you're thinking of, where there's freight tracks that cut sort of diagonally up through the middle of the county.
We have a rail system right here that goes from Tampa to Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, to Clearwater, to Pinellas Park, and to St. Petersburg. It's already there. It isn't going to cost a dime to build it.
So that's not true. Unfortunately, we don't own it.
It won't cost a dime to build it. It will cost money to upgrade it.
And to acquire it from the company that owns it, CSX.
Eminent domain it. Okay. That was a joke, by the way. I hate eminent domain. Okay, and you're spending a lot of money to promote this. Okay. Tell me a good reason why the citizens of Oldsmar. Well, you've already told me one good reason, and I'm really sad you told me that, because that is a good reason to get rid of the sales tax. I mean, to get rid of the tax on the land. If it hadn't been for that, I was going to oppose this as hard as I could. But that's going to be kind of hard to oppose. But if you're going to do all this, I want to see where it's going to benefit the city of Oldsmar. Don't tell me about St. Petersburg. They have their own problems. They can solve their own problems. What y'all are going to do, what y'all wanted to do at one time, you was going to have a density in some of these areas of about 80 units an acre. When I was on the Pinellas Planning Council, and people don't understand what 80 units an acre it is. It's 25 stories in the air. Well, wait a minute, let me finish. How is the city of Oldsmar going to benefit from this? Let me tell you something. A kid gets 16, 17, 18 years old, he can his driver's license. Don't tell me he's not. I don't know where you're getting those figures from. I don't buy that. They want to drive a car. Now, if you don't believe me, go on Mullen Booth Road sometime with me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're going to buy a car and they're going to get their driver's license. That's not an argument for me. Now, you say something about an express lane on McMullen Booth Road? Not in my life.
No express lane.
Well,
Express route.
Express routes on McMullen Booth, possibly in some areas using the shoulders, but not taking away an existing
Not
lane.
in my lifetime. Maybe when you're 80 years old, you may see that on the shoulder somewhere, but nobody sitting here will ever see that. They can't even get 19 done. They've been working on that for what, 6 years? But anyway, how is Oldsmar going to benefit from this?
Well, I attempted to kind of describe some of the benefits through my presentation, but there will certainly be dramatically increased service that you're paying now for the
Been
property
told that
tax
before, and
to
y'all-
Oldsmar.
We've been told that before, and y'all cut bus service. My son is legally blind. He used to go to Meads Countryside and volunteer. You cut the bus route out after we increased money for the PSTA. I want you to show me in black and white how you're going to benefit the city of Oldsmar in this, and then I'll support you.
I look forward to that discussion. Okay. Other questions, comments?
Well, I can understand your frustration if that, has happened in the past. And what I like about the idea is the swap of the property tax for the sales tax. Because when it's a property tax, it's only those of us that own homes. When it's a sales tax, a third of it will be the tourist, and then it's going to be much more equally distributed over who's going to pay for this instead of it just being property owners. I like that. And he's right. Those studies are right of the young people. They're going to urban areas. They're looking for, I've got members of my own family that are living in Boston and California because they want to have the public transportation. I'll use the route to the airport. There's things that I'll use, but I do share some of Jerry's concerns about, would we be able to have some input into some of these trolleys or buses, say, from the beaches to the flea market or from the beaches to the, incorporate some routes where we can get some more tourists here from where they traditionally go on the beaches.
Yeah.
That, how would we have some kind of planning sessions or how would we be able to go about making sure that we could benefit somehow from that? Are there going to be meetings? Are there going to be?
Yeah, well, if this is successful in November of 2014, if the voters of Pinellas County support this, the sales tax doesn't actually kick in until January 1st of 2016.
It's always
But
a year later.
A year later, the property tax, this might be another benefit to you, actually goes away October 1 of 15. So you have 3 months of
That would be the only reason I would support this. When you bring back, show me how it's going to benefit.
But during that period of time, that's when the planning on all of the services will really get going, and definitely we will be having discussions with the city and the chamber and the community generally on how they want their bus services to be. Right now, the plan calls for increased services to Oldsmar, but it doesn't necessarily say whether that's a tourist-oriented thing that connects to Clearwater Beach, or is it a commuter service? We've gotten actually
A
quite
combination of both, where we could have better bus service for our residents and incorporate some tourist development, something like that. I just wondered if we would be able to attend meetings and be able to put, or is it going to be kind of the same thing where the mayor goes or one person goes and
Janice on it?
we'd.
Isn't Janice our representative?
I'm on the PPC.
Okay.
See, but that's state.
Mayor's
that's
been
just
on the
state.
PSTA.
And I've been on the board for the PSTA.
And let's see, October 1 of 2014 will be the PSTA board member slot that will become Oldsmar's for 2 years. Or there's a rotation between Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, and Tarpon Springs, and the 2-year Safety Harbor position is ending this coming
That's
October 1.
perfect timing then for this.
Yeah.
But how much of this money is going to go to that rail from St. Petersburg to Clearwater? See, that's what bothers me. The majority of this money is going down to that rail from St. Petersburg to Clearwater. And we're going to be up here sucking hind end somewhere.
If you look at the capital.
I want to see it in black and white, and then I will support it.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I've been a part of this, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the penny is not initially for the rail. Isn't that correct? It's really to the first phase, which is the enhanced bus service and the more routes and so, it's kind of a stepping process that the rail is, I don't even know what year what is that proposed for, if it's going to happen at all?
Construction is scheduled for 2018-19, so it opens in early.
22 years away. And that's where the money's going, for the rail.
No, well, actually, since the property tax goes away, it's the source for all of our operating and capital funds. And over the next 15 years, the majority of the sales tax revenue goes toward paying bus operating costs.
Want to put that in writing in your blood?
Well, it's already in our Ernst & Young study.
In
I mean,
writing with your blood?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, and it is, I don't know what the numbers are, but it is, the lion's share is going to enhance bus service.
Capital costs are more for the rail than the bus, but there are some bus capital. Operating costs over time is where the big money is, and that's with all of these bus routes going everywhere.
We don't have any more bus routes in this city. We have bus
No,
routes.
But we will.
Let me get,
That is verbalization.
He wants it in
We
writing.
will.
Yeah,
That doesn't
I
tell
hear
me
you.
anything.
okay, got more questions?
No, I
Obviously-
actually like
Oh, sorry.
a lot about the ideas. So. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, obviously, I think North Pinellas is your hardest sell, because we do, I mean, South Pinellas has a higher density, and so we know that they're
Yeah.
gonna get more of the service and more of the rail. And I think to Jerry's point about us already having a rail connection is to hint that North Pinellas would like some additional support and connection here. I personally don't ride the bus, and I think it's because if I got on the bus, I think it would take me 2 hours to get where I need to go. That would only take me 20 minutes in a car. And so I like the idea of having express routes, but also to Jerry's point, I mean, if those aren't already incorporated in the construction for US 19 currently, that could be 100 years out. So, I mean, I don't know if you could answer that question. Is the current construction of US 19 incorporating any bus routes or potential bus lanes?
Yes, the FDOT new construction on the overpasses that they're building are constructing the shoulders to be wider than normal and to be designed in such a way that they can be used as commuter lanes. That's what a number of cities are doing. That's what at least FDOT is putting the provisions in their designs for.
That's good. I mean, I'm all for transit improvement. I think our county definitely needs it. And, you know, hopefully this is going to be a step in the right direction. And, you know, it seems like it's a slight increase once you take away the property tax, you know, getting some additional money from the tourists. So I think it's a good idea, but I agree with Jerry. We definitely like to make sure that Oldsmar gets some things in writing, or at least, you know, has the opportunity to provide input for the service. That's all.
Once again, thanks for coming out. I did have a question about the numbers, and I think I know the answer to that. The increased ridership, I hear that. I hear the Bostons, I hear the, you know, the Chicagos, the New Yorks, even the Miamis, but they have a much better and far advanced transit system than we do. And I would certainly be the first one to ride it if it could get me somewhere. And I continue to say this, and I don't know why I say it, but I know I'm probably not going to ride this, but it may help others that might ride it. Well, I don't want that. I want a system that I can use and that I can ride and that I can participate in. I'm jealous of my brother. He lives in Chicago. I know it's apples and oranges to some extent, but you know, he moved there in 1982 and owned a car for 6 months, and that's it. And he hasn't had one since 1982. You know, and you look at the other people, and that's why, you know, we're losing people. They're going to colleges out of state, or they're going somewhere else, and they're staying there because they do have transit systems. And you and I have talked, and I'm not telling you anything or saying anything here before. And when we went to the mayor's mayor-manager breakfast, we had this discussion. I've had this discussion with Senator Latvala about North Pinellas, and which is his, you know, his district. And I don't think that it offers enough to North Pinellas. There's a huge tax base in North Pinellas, and we've had this discussion that crazy spaghetti map that continues to show up there is trying to be all things to all people. And what works in South County in the downtown area is a very grid-based system. You've got a lot of east-west, north-south, a lot of the connectors out to the beaches. When you get to the middle of the county, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. You've got some of both. And when you get to North County, we're very urbanized. We're very car dependent. There's not really a grid system other than Tampa Road and US 19 and maybe McMullen Booth. You don't have that sense. You have neighborhoods and communities and large developments, very car dependent. And what everybody continues to say, and I continue to hear, and my background, I'll give you my background, was about 25 years of civil engineering as a hydraulic engineer, but I was involved in a lot of projects, both from building subdivisions and shopping centers to, I actually was part of the design team for Tampa Road when it was 2 lanes and then it became the road that it is now. So I'm very familiar with it. To Jerry's point, I was part of the transit design team, 26 years ago. That continued to try and sell this thing, and it's never, ever, ever in 25 years been able to be sold. And And I think, as Hillsborough County failed to do this, I don't think they sold it right. First of all, they did a terrible job. I think we'll all agree with that. They rushed it. They didn't do their homework. I commend you guys for doing that. And you are listening and you are reaching out to the people. But, from Ulmerton Road north, it's a different animal. It's a different system once we get up past the airports and, maybe State Road 60. But I want something that's going to benefit North County, not just the city of Oldsmar, but and the way it benefits the city of Oldsmar is not necessarily the residents, but it's North County. When you stand out here on Tampa Road or you watch Tampa Road, that's 6 lanes, very few of those people are stopping in the city of Oldsmar. They may be going to Nielsen or they may be going to some of our employment centers, but they are cutting through. We're the only land connection to Hillsborough County, and we're as big as a 6-lane highway, and I continue to be puzzled as to why the Greenlight Pinellas and the whole transit thing does not. You see, we've shown you the map that we're selling. We're just sleepy little Oldsmar, and we're selling ourselves as a transit hub. And I don't know why we're not considered a transit hub. I just continue to fail to see why the city of Oldsmar is not a transit hub that gets some of that traffic off of Tampa Road and commutes between Hillsborough. And it's probably going to come from Hillsborough County, and we're going to probably meet with them to discuss how we fall into their plan, because I don't see it selling North County. And we've had this discussion that, I personally love transit, as we all do here, but we're not average Joe citizen that, can look at that spaghetti map and go, yeah, that's why we've made our simplified transit thing. It's like, do you get that? It's a picture of a subway or a rail station. I get it. I've seen it. I've been on those. I understand it. The blue line, the orange line, the dash line, the green line, the purple line. I don't know. I don't have time. I don't care. And I really would like to see North County. I'm behind it, but I don't have anything to sell to them. And we've had this discussion about the 5 points, and I saw something that I'd like to see, maybe a Reader's Digest version of that. I get the employment. It's probably outside of, the PST. It's not that you're employing 57,000 people, but it creates jobs, it creates hubs, it creates employment centers, it creates work centers and business centers and things like that. I get that, which starts new businesses. But for North County, and I've had this discussion with Senator Latvala, because I know you guys want him to support it, and I don't know to date that he has done that. And I think it's because of the same argument that you heard from us. And I'll give you that the city of Tarpon Springs and kind of the Jolly Trolley, parts of Dunedin that are connected to that, the beachy community that gets you out to Clearwater Beach, and that's a little bit of a different animal. I'm talking about the everyday users, the things as Councilmember McGee said, and I've had this discussion. I tried to take a bus to the Rays game. Of course, I would have probably missed most of it and wouldn't have been able to get home, but and stayed the next day. And I've tried to go to the beaches, and I've tried to do various things. I think the only thing that appeals to me is to be able to park somewhere and catch the bus to the airport, provided I could get, my luggage on there, unless you guys are going to charge a luggage fee like Southwest or like the airlines do.
No.
Mayor?
But, yeah.
The mayor made it a very important point. We're the only land connection to the rest of Florida. We're the only land connection. We're the epicenter right here. And not you, but we've been totally ignored. And you know how aggravating that is, to be totally ignored?
And again, it's not that I feel that Oldsmar is getting ignored. Obviously, somebody saw the vision years ago that a crazy old 2-lane Tampa Road needed to be improved. Why? Because it's a huge transit corridor. I just continue to fail to see why the transit plan long-term does not incorporate the Tampa Road corridor, not so much for the city of Oldsmar, although it would probably relieve traffic and make life better for us, but for all of North Pinellas, where all these people in North Pinellas are going, from Tarpon Springs and Palm Harbor and Dunedin, and they're like I said, they're not stopping here. They're passing through.
The only way they can get to
That's the only way you can get there. They're not going to drive down McMullen and go across the Courtney Campbell if they work, up in all these new places that are being built, or they're working out at USF. They're not going to do that. And I just fail to see why. And I've had this, discussion at the PPC and Mike Crawford, and he kind of agrees, and he tells us to keep banging the gong, really for North Pinellas, but for the city of Oldsmar. There's no right of way to purchase, although you got to acquire it. But it's there. The line is there, and it connects to Hillsborough County. You know, we're talking about, you know, in our map, it shows the Oldsmar flea market as a huge transit hub. I just fail to see why this plan doesn't, I don't care how long-term it is. Like he said, hell, we've been waiting 25 years already and we don't have anything. So I don't care if you put something on the map that shows Oldsmar. If you show things like that to voters, they can see it, they can touch it, they can feel it. That's what voters are looking for.
Yes.
They don't understand that grid map, and I don't expect them to.
I have a question.
If you put it on paper, you don't have to sign it with your blood. We can see it.
I have a question that because those are really good points. Is there any kind of formula or any kind of safeguard or any kind of, like, okay, we're all going to pay the sales tax. All of Pinellas County is going to pay the sales tax. How are we going to have any guarantees that North County is going to get the percentage of that money in this plan?
You don't
right,
have a
so
guarantee. That's
It's
the
not.
problem.
right, there's no plan for any real equal distribution or somewhat, because we're fighting to get some of the tourist tax for the BMX track right now after all the money that we're putting into this pot.
When you
Now
compare
we're
the
fighting.
property tax or when you're talking about an equity issue about how much, who's paying what, and how much service you're getting, obviously North County so far over the last 30 years, paying by the property tax mode, is paying a lot more for services not in North County, for services in other parts of the county,
But
right?
this isn't going to be any different. There's still no guarantee that
Well,
North
it will
County.
be different. I mean, because everyone will be paying equally based on their.
Well, what I mean is it's not going to be different in
Consumption.
that there's still not going to be any guarantee that North County is going to get.
There'll be some increase, but I don't think it's substantial. And, you know, we are an employment hub. I mean, there's no
Yes, I
question
know.
about it. We're a huge employment hub. And I say this, and I know that there's a chance a slim chance that it would happen, more chance that it's probably not. But I mean, we're looking at things like, you know, potentially an entertainment complex by Tampa Bay Downs. We have 100 acres there. We've joked about the Rays coming there. And when you tell people that, they laugh at you, but then the more you start to think about it and you talk about the Tampa roads and the Linebaugh Avenues and the racetrack roads and the Veterans Expressway and the rail that runs through the city of Oldsmar, when you start to talk about that and you look at the demographics and the geographics and the household income in the city of Oldsmar and the surrounding areas, it makes sense for something like that, whether it's the Rays or it's some other kind of a spring training facility. And then you've got the property that, you know, that property's highest and best use is not going to be for a flea market forever. We all know that. And so that's going to become something different. You know, I don't understand why we have that vision and nobody else can see that. I mean, and it's kind of you know, if they build it, it will come. I mean, could you imagine hypothetically, if there was a stadium right there along Racetrack Road, right by the rail system, and you could get on the rail in downtown Tampa, you could get on the rail in downtown St. Petersburg and come up to a ball game? I would go. I don't go now because it's just a pain in the rear end to get to the stadium from
Something
here.
else, Mayor. People that have a destination, see, I believe Oldsmar is the destination. I believe that, but I'm realistic. There's 65 to 70,000 cars that go through this city every 24 hours. They have another destination, but to get to that destination, they have to go through the city of Oldsmar. Because like the mayor said, they're not going to the Courtney Campbell Causeway, and they're certainly not going to fight the Howard Franklin Bridge where they got to sit in line for 5 hours to get wherever they're going. I mean, he's right.
So Brad, what is
We
the
are
answer?
not a stepchild.
Well,
What is the
what
answer
you're
to that?
describing is true, and I appreciate your comments, Mayor. And that presentation I just gave has half the number of maps that my old one did, so I'm working on it.
What is the
it is
reason why?
confusing, but Oldsmar, as you just described, very much better than I can, is a residential destination, and you're working very hard to make it even more so of an attractor. It is along a commuter line to Tampa, a major one, the only one that's across land, and it's also a major job center, a hub with your business park in Nielsen. And we get calls and demands for all of those. My map tries to show with crazy spaghetti lines that we're trying to serve each of those. You cannot serve all of those things at the same time with any kind of bus or any kind of train. It needs to be a more flexible or a different kind of system to serve all those things.
But you haven't shown that to us yet.
Well, I did. I showed it in a map form, but I'm sorry.
Again, that's all vanilla.
Okay, well, I'd certainly like to come back and give some more detail on that. I mean, I know that it is, I share your concern about study after study after study, but the voters of Pinellas County have never gotten a chance to vote on whether they want to do anything or not, right? They voted in 1983 to merge the St. Pete and Clearwater systems.
Then they have had that choice.
There was no increase in funding, but this is the first time, and this will be the first time that we can actually deliver on all these different studies. There are a lot of people that are still working on the commuter rail from Oldsmar to Tampa.
I've heard that for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I know it's different. It's a challenging system here because the sales tax and the voting is based on county, and obviously you're right on the county border, and that.
I was first elected in 1970, so I've listened to it for the last 50, 60 years.
Okay.
He's just basically telling you he's older than dirt, is what he's telling.
Brad, what city do you go to next for your presentation?
Which one am I going to next?
Yeah.
Pinellas Park next Tuesday.
All right, we were just preparing you for that meeting. That's
We
just want to know what is in it for us in North County.
And I guess my question
What's
to that
in
is,
it for us? We like the idea, but what's in it for us? What can,
well, reduced property tax, potentially reduced if you're over $200,000. I mean, you'll see it'll be a wash, so it's not that big of a deal.
But for us to sell it to our citizens.
Right, exactly. What's in it for us?
I want it on paper, so I say, this is what we're going to get. Even, you took my legally blind son bus out. He can't even go to.
It's all your fault, Brad.
He can't even volunteer at the Meeks countryside anymore.
Have you got any resolution?
I'm not sure what that's about, but I think he can still get there. But
not the bus route he was taking, because y'all took it away from Curlew.
Okay. Have any of the North County of the 5? I know we haven't. So have any of the other 4 done a resolution? Because I don't know that when we have our meetings, I think we all in North County, maybe Tarpon a little bit more because they benefit by the Jolly Trolley and some of that line over there on the western edge of Tarpon. But is any of the other?
Dunedin is, well, I've given this sort of presentation to their council in Dunedin, and now they are poised, I think February 6th is their vote on their resolution.
And I could see that they had, but there is something tangible to them. It's the Jolly Trolley between Dunedin and Safety Harbor. It's the Jolly Trolley that already runs from Dunedin to the beaches. So they feel it. They can touch it. They can put their hand on it and see how they do that. I have friends that live in Dunedin that ride all of that stuff, and they're normal schleps like me that normally would take their car anywhere. I like the Safety Harbor to Dunedin. I wish it came to Oldsmar at some point. Maybe it will, but I see myself driving to Safety Harbor, parking my car and getting on it and riding to the wine festival in Dunedin because I don't want to have to mess with parking. I mean, I see that, but how do we sell that? To these people that are sitting out here that
Paying the taxes.
Because I got to tell you this, and I know he's mad that you brought up the tax thing, but you know the government, and you know how the government works. We all know about the lottery. We know how the lottery said, oh yeah, it's going to be for education. Well, here we're going to give you $1 billion here, but we're going to take $1.5 billion out of your funding over here, and that's the old lottery trick that they've created all this money, but then they cut their regular funding to it. Nobody believes that the government is going to do something that's actually going to cut your taxes. I know you show this number, but I know, and it's really going to happen, but so what's the trick? And I know that's what probably the people are going to ask. Okay, so what's the trick?
You're right. I mean, that is one of the biggest challenge in selling this thing that we've got is trust in government, or that I can deliver on this plan. First things out of the box will be the bus improvements. We know we can do that. We need to order more buses, but we can do that and get this thing going. And it will take time. I mean, to get this thing up and running. All of the bus improvements will be done prior to the rail up and running. But meanwhile, we're working on that. My PSTA board has voted unanimously to eliminate the property tax the first moment that the sales tax kicks in. And it certainly won't be on my watch that they change their mind on that. We're still trying to get the state to mandate it legislatively from Tallahassee. But in the meantime,
that's a job in itself.
You're right. But perhaps if you're open to it, I can sort of, well, I don't think I'll necessarily satisfy everybody, but put some of these specific proposals that are in our plans for Oldsmar in writing with maybe
Yeah, we'd like that.
more user-friendly graphics in the resolution, or, so that if you're supporting it, then you know what you're supporting. And
I think that applies to all of North County. I mean, I think we're a very similar model, pretty much all of North County with the exception of the Jolly Trolley routes and things like that. I think that would be very helpful to help sell this, to North County.
One thing that doesn't make any, when you come up here and tell me, well, we're going to create 57,000 more jobs.
67.
I don't care about that. I care about this city and how it's going to affect us. I don't believe the 57,000 jobs anyway, but even at that, you got to bring more home.
67,000, and that's probably 30,000 more they're going to drive down Tampa Road, right? Let's hope not.
Good point.
In many fewer vehicles than if they in their single occupant vehicle.
Yeah. Any other questions? Bruce, you got any questions?
I think y'all gave him more than adequate response.
Are we your toughest audience so far?
Maybe. I'll have to check it out. Thank you.
And I think all our points are valid. I mean, and I think these are Deb Pauley, who's sitting back there in the room. She came to me, and she works for the city, but she's, Joe Average Citizen. Well, she's above average, but Joe Average Citizen that wants to know. I mean, and she's here. She works with the city. She works in the city clerk's office. She hears us talk about it. And I don't want to say still doesn't get it, but nothing has sunk in that goes, that's okay. Now I'm with you, Maybe now, since she's heard this, but that's what we're up against, and that's what we're trying.
Let me rephrase that. You're definitely not my toughest audience. I mean, you're asking a lot of questions about how this would affect Oldsmar. I mean, some of my audiences are.
Yeah, I mean, no, and we're certainly not mean.
That's the question you should be asking.
Yeah. And we don't want you to, we don't want people to forget about, how important Tampa Road is and, that corridor, and any relief that can be provided to that thing would be tremendous. And I don't know why it's, had somebody 25 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago, had somebody, had the vision that you guys finally are having to sell this thing, and it had included some of this transit stuff, we probably would be riding it now. I mean, to be honest with you, if they could figure out.
Probably.
Yeah, they didn't do it. And like I said, I don't care if it's 25 years from now or 30 years from now, but if at least, as you said, you're going to do the increased bus service, and it's going to, and it's going to grow, and it's a, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then you get the rail. But why not discuss a phase 4 or a phase 5 that's potentially down the road that might include some kind of. I mean, you're not lying that it could be there.
Oh, right.
And I don't understand why that's not part of the. I don't understand why that's not part of the vision. I don't care how far down the road it is.
It goes further to what you're saying. This city was founded in 1916. It took almost 70 years to get where it is today. So he's right. If there's something down there that we can say that happened in 25 years, I won't be here, but somebody will be here. Something that we can see and touch and say, this is what's going to happen. Because in 1916, by 1920, the city was down the pot.
Yeah.
And everything.
Oh, yeah.
But look, it took 70 years, but here we are.
I have a question for you. Do you, and I know it's not part of this thing right now, but you hear what we're saying. Do you not ever see a time indefinitely down the road where there would be some kind of a mass transit system through the city of Oldsmar connecting to Hillsborough? Do you not see that as down the road at some point, 20, 30, 40 years from now?
No, I do. I mean, you showed me your magazine picture with the full layout of a train going that says Oldsmar on it. That's awesome. I think I tweeted it and Facebooked it 17 times.
Does it twice a day?
Yeah. No, I mean.
But I don't understand. Then if you see that,
yes,
and it's probably there. I don't care if it's 30 or 40 years from now. I don't understand why it's not part of the long-term plan to sell it. I know it's not selling the Greenlight.
I'm trying to be honest and very deliberate about what this penny sales tax pays for and what it doesn't pay for, right?
Because it wouldn't pay for that, and I understand that, but I don't understand why it's not incorporated into like long-term plans beyond, the penny.
I will certainly support and work to make that into the MPO's longer range plans and whatnot.
Because I know we're selling Greenlight, but the bigger picture is beyond Greenlight, I think.
Well, do you think that it's because there's other cities that are lobbying harder? Is it the demographics of those cities? Is it because the route from Tampa Airport to Clearwater and St. Pete is more direct by not going through
I
Oldsmar?
can
What do
answer
you
that
just
for you.
personally think
Hold on,
it is?
I can answer that, absolutely. See, that's what's happened in this county. Everything has went to South County. And again, I go back, we have sucked up here in North County.
I mean,
So Brad, do you
South
think that
County.
those all play a part
I think
in
that rail that you show in the picture is an awesome commuter rail to and from Oldsmar from Tampa, from Hillsborough
Tampa,
County
but then-
side. And it would be perhaps less successful on the Pinellas side.
Wait a minute, the commuter rail.
Jerry, I'm asking the question. This is my question.
Yeah,
Tush.
you keep jumping in on everybody.
Okay, so say that again. So
It seems to me, based on there have been some studies over the many years that have been done of it, and the ridership and the potential for it is stronger on the Hillsborough County side of Oldsmar than it is on the Pinellas County side of Oldsmar. So the challenge for
So we
Oldsmar
would
and
be
getting
more
it,
in a, like the mayor said, like in a phase 4 or in a phase 5 and the green, and.
yeah, and we'd
because-
have to get support of Hillsborough.
And we're working on that. And you know what's going to happen is you guys aren't going to be able to ride it if we build it here. None of your people from your buses are going to be allowed to get on our train. No, I'm kidding.
Going from east to west on Tampa Road.
You just need to.
Or I think
You just need to.
Yeah.
I think we've
Say
beat
the
this.
last and final comment.
Yeah,
okay? Can I
we've
call
beat
it
this
now?
bus to death. So-
Listen, people. Brad, I know you said that you could get us some additional information on what's in it for Oldsmar, North County, but personally, what I would like to see is just, besides a map, what's the current routes that connect to Oldsmar currently, and what are the proposed new routes?
Yeah.
The length of time, the average length of time it would take to say to get from Oldsmar to the airport on the airport route, those kinds of things. And I know you said it'd be till 10 o'clock at night. Does that include Sunday? Because I know like on the PTS connector, Sundays I don't think is included. There's some.
I think that's I think that's what you said, an excellent idea. If we can bring a now and a then as to what it means and how it.
Yeah, but just with specific routes, if people see that and I can see how long it's going to take me and the cost, because you're talking about, there's a small increase here with the sales tax, but what's the cost to ride it? What's the annual pass cost? Because there's additional cost to actually utilize it, so
But there are no
luggage
routes to
cost.
the airport.
Well, he's talking about, well,
Are no
there's not a route to the airport. Yeah, is it going to go from here?
Yep.
Yeah, it'll go, that was part of the,
That'll get used.
Down Tampa Road.
yep.
So
You have a bus route to the
There will be,
airport?
that's part of the expansion.
We don't today. We have no service to the airport.
We don't have anything.
That's
there.
part of the expansion.
Under the
That's part of
Greenlight
what the.
plan.
better if there was a dedicated bus lane there, but.
Part of the PSTA can't even agree on an agreement.
No, but that's part of the, that's
Yeah, and
part of
that's
it.
actually a
Final
really good
comments.
idea because we
Okay.
can save money on parking our car and long-term parking and everything.
Thank you, Brad.
Are we ready to move on?
Poor Brad.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gabby.
He hears us. Next is our city attorney.
Well, while we're talking about transportation, let's talk about golf carts. I'm going to go ahead and read ordinance 2014-01 by title only, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar amending section 66-108 and 66-109 of Chapter 66 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar to authorize additional designated city streets upon which golf carts may be operated and providing an effective date hereof. That was a reading of ordinance 2014-01 by title only.
And this is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to address this particular item, either for or against? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
Did you just do it?
Motion, I need a second. And now, some discussion, thoughts from the council. I know we got
The email from Linda.
We got the email from Linda. I read it. I guess Rick got it. I don't know if he has any input onto the particular item that you would want to share, either in for or against, or whoever, whichever badge wants to.
Sergeant Nalvin is here also.
Sergeant.
Deputy Sheriff at the Sheriff's Office. The only input, we're going to do what you want us to do as far as enforcing, not enforcing. Excuse me. The email that you're referring to is probably the one where it says that there might be some stoppage or some slowing from other vehicles due to the golf carts. The way that I put this to my sergeant earlier is if you drive down Shore or Lafayette, you have more obstacles, whether it's a landscaper, the garbage truck, delivery man. stopping on shore where vehicles have to go around it. At least with a golf cart's able to probably maneuver off the side of the road, just like a scooter would do, and allow traffic to pass. On Lafayette's wide enough where if the golf cart was to move over into the bike lane, then a car would safely pass. As far as the sidewalks, the ordinance is going to cover that. They're not going to be on the sidewalks, and they're not going to be on any type of trail system that we have in the city.
And currently, bicycles are allowed to be driven on those same streets that we're proposing golf carts, correct?
Bicycles, yes, yes.
Golf carts allowed in the bike lanes?
No, not on the trail. They're not allowed on the trail, but would they be allowed?
No, but we're saying
They'd be
if
allowed to move over just for a car to go through, or what about the bikers?
If they can do it safely, there's no reason why they can't.
So he's
there
not
won't-
saying run over the biker to.
Yeah.
No, just so it would be just to be able to let cars go by. It wouldn't be that they could use,
When you think feasibly, if you're driving down Lafayette, how often do you see a FedEx truck, the garbage truck in the bike lane stopped, pulled over, and somebody else being able to go past it? So I don't think
that's
I don't think a golf cart is going to cause any more of a stoppage of traffic
then I see what
than
your
that.
point is.
And you got to remember that the speed limits in all these residential areas are 35 or less. A golf cart's going to travel anywhere between 20, 25 tops. It shouldn't travel any faster than 25. And the state statute calls for less than 35 miles per hour.
30, I think.
And my question about the bikes, which I knew the answer was, is because, there's some risk involved with riding a bike and a bicycle getting hit by a car that's going around just as much as there is with a golf cart. I mean, there is an inherent risk with being on some kind of a vehicle in a car, on the road. So,
Right, just a matter of using due care.
So I really wanted to just do that to address the email that we all got so that,
Right.
we all hear the same information.
Rick, is the speed limit 25 on shore right now?
On Lafayette, it's 25. On shore, I believe it's 30.
Okay.
30.
Is it 25 on shore?
Section is 25.
Okay.
That's okay.
So same as
25
the
on-
golf cart speed.
St. Pete, and you're not allowed to ride on St. Pete Drive in a golf cart. And the Go Air Village.
Okay, if you want to come, yeah,
I will, but
that's.
Yeah, Gull Air is a different, that has its separate ordinance anyway, so that's a different animal altogether.
Okay.
So it's
So
going
cars
to be
and
two
golf
separate
carts are
things.
supposed to be going the same speed on those roads. Okay.
Not exceeding, yeah. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I already closed the public hearing. We had a chance to speak, for people to speak for or against it. That was input for us, for the council, for him to answer. He's a officer to answer questions to an email that we asked, that council asked. That was yeah. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll, sorry.
Yeah, it's ordinance.
Call the roll?
Councilmember Beaver?
Yes.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Councilmember Nurse?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2014-01, allowing use of golf carts south of SR 580 is approved with 4 votes for and 0 against.
And just to answer your question, sir, but it's going to come up again for a second reading, and you can
I
address it.
understand that, but there were different issues brought up by the officer that could have been responded to during the public meeting part if he had spoke before you closed the public meeting to answer the questions from the council very clearly.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and you probably should reopen the public hearing to hear my
Hold on.
I mean.
I appreciate your input.
Sorry, but.
I appreciate your input, but what happens in the public forum is where the public asks questions. That's when we can then ask our city staff to give more input, or we can ask the deputy to give input. That's what we do. If you had a question, you could have asked
I
it.
didn't have a question.
Okay.
All I had was clarification of what the
Okay.
deputy was saying,
Okay, that's fine.
And
And I appreciate it. We did hear some of what you were saying. And
I'm familiar with this issue. I understand.
I appreciate it. And we heard some of what you were saying.
I'm talking out of turn now, but.
Well, there'll be a second reading.
There'll be a
as well.
second reading.
You can.
Need to stop.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
One other thing.
Yep.
I need to congratulate my son and his wife, Jordan. I am now a grandfather for the first time. So I want to say thank you to congratulations to Tommy and Jordan for their first baby, Tegan. He was born January 13th and 8 pounds. And so I'll send some pictures around. I'm really proud.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You don't look like a grandpa.
Well,
Jerry does, but you don't.
So you get the same joy. I have a grandson that he's just turned 10. He's January 16th. So you get the joy of doing all the Christmas stuff, and then you got to turn right back around and do birthday stuff, and the kids wind up with 10 times more toys than they had.
That's a good thing.
Yep. That's a great thing. Well, congratulations. I'm glad you said it. I had it.
That's all I
noted.
have. Thank you.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item, consider approval of a use agreement with Oldsmar Little League. There are some proposed changes from the previous years. This is an annual agreement. The agreement for your consideration this evening is for 2014, both the spring season and the fall ball season. Some of the changes proposed in this agreement include the establishment of an oversight committee for the review of operations and expenditures of the league. The city would collect registration, clinic, and sponsorship revenue. We would pay the operating expenses up to the amount of revenue collected. We would provide accounting records to the league for both revenue and expenses. Field usage will be allocated based on league participants and teams. And that's related to how many participants there are and their ages. I do recommend approval of the agreement for 2014. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. Also, Mr. Reeves, our Leisure Services Director, is here this evening to answer questions you might have.
I don't have any. Oldsmar Little League is here. How are things going? How's registration going? If you'd like to, Dave, if you'd like to come up and.
Registration is open.
An address.
Dave Waldman, 414 Ventura Drive. Registration is up. It is going, I think we're up to 150 right now. It's a little lower than what we were hoping for. We're opening the season on February 22nd, so we're still hopeful that we'll be able to reach the 200 number.
Awesome. Good. I just, and things seem to be, we're moving forward, which was the hope of the city of Oldsmar and Oldsmar Little League. And, you know, you had our word that we were going to be playing baseball in here, and I'm glad we've been able to come to some kind of agreement, and hopefully we'll be able to turn the whole thing back over to the Oldsmar Little League and move forward and have, I await our first trophy presentation.
We'll worry about turning it over. Let's get through this part first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 12 is a status report on trail construction. Mr. Reeves will present a verbal report. It doesn't require any council action.
Lynn Reeves, Leisure Services Director for the City of Oldsmar. You've seen this map many, many times, and now it's really starting to come to fruition. Just to kind of give you a quick update of the 5 phases. Phase 1, the area up at Bricker Creek that runs from Racetrack Road to Pine Avenue and Forest Boulevard. At Cypress, that section is 100% complete. We've done a substantial completion inspection, and the final invoices have been submitted, and we're moving forward to close that project out. The other phase, phase 4, that runs from Sheffield Park to Oakwood and Shore, through Moccasin Creek, through East Lake Oaks, down Maple Leaf, and then into Sheffield and Harbor Palms. That phase is also complete, and we're moving forward with closing that out and with FDOT. Phase 2, which is the area from Chestnut to Shore and Lafayette that goes in front of Veterans Park, down Lafayette, down to Bicentennial Park, into the park, back out at the entrance, and then on down to Racetrack is currently under construction. It's about 80% complete. All we've really got left to do with those 2 phases, that phase is got a connection into Bicentennial Park that is being worked on as we currently speak. And then behind the Hess Station, the connection that goes out to Racetrack and Tampa Road intersection. All of those projects, phase one, just to give you a little bit of update on the funding, we were given $793,000. That project, part of it was built prior with the recreational trails grant, and we ended up using $326,000. Phase four, we were given $1,148,000, and it looks like we're going to use somewhere in the range of $950,000 to complete that project. Phase two, originally we were given $397,000. We had to go back to the MPO and ask for another $152,000, and that was given to us, and the total contract's $510,000. Phases 3 and 5, which haven't been awarded yet, we went back to the MPO for phase 3 to ask for an additional $80,000. They approved it, and for phase 5, we asked for $112,000, and the MPO approved that. We're waiting on the agreements from FDOT. Phase 5 being the portion along the outfall canal that will connect Sheffield to Curlew, underneath Curlew, and into Canal Park. Phase 3 is the section that comes down Pine Avenue, turns there at the fire station on onto that area, and then goes on to onto Hayes Road, and then goes to the post office, crosses Tampa Road, and then goes on down Bayview to R.A. Olds Park. And those two phases, we have bidders, and the low bidders for that phase was Tampa Bay Construction, and the phase along the outfall canal, the low bidder was Ajax Paving. And they're ready to go as soon as we get the agreements from FDOT, which they're working on. So the project overall, the 5 phases, it's a long time coming, but I expect all of the phases to be done during 2014. There is an additional area that we're building ourselves. It's a shell trail that's going from Dunkirk to the beach. The first phase was done a few years ago, and now we're going to complete that. And that project is ongoing right now. So, as I said, by the end of 2014, we'll have a lot of trails, a lot of ways to get around, and ways to go from one end of town to the other with minimal crossings of the major road. Any questions?
We've done a lot in 18 years,
Is that when it started, 18 years ago, the trails?
about 1996.
Wow, awesome.
Great job, Lynn, on the trails.
Yeah, definitely. I know this has come up before, and I don't recall, I think I recall the answer, but I don't recall the time frame. That ultimately we will connect through into Hillsborough County via line bar or something like that to the Hillsborough trail system?
Well, the hope is that Hillsborough County, I mean, they're aware coming to us. The Progress Energy Trail, they're working on that development, and I know they want to connect there at where the power lines are, right along the outfall canal at Canal Park. So eventually when that's built, it will eventually connect, taking the trail south. You've seen the overpass over by Countryside, and then there's pieces going down south under the power lines. But that project is still ongoing, and they're looking to move it forward.
Awesome. I know, and another thing, and I don't know, I'll bring it up anyway, whatever. We had talked about a discussion, and I'd had some conversation with some Pinellas County commissioners about, and I think it was probably Neil at the time, but at one time about connecting up to the Brooker Creek Preserve, up where we have the meetings. Do you ever see that happening at any point?
I would think eventually. There was some discussion, it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago, before the the decline in the property tax and things of that nature went on. There was some discussion about opening the southern end and doing a loop trail at the end of Pine. Unfortunately, the Brooker Creek Preserve and the operation there has kind of been compacted over the years. So at this point in time, I would hope in the future it happens, but I wouldn't say it's going to happen in the
Ken
next
Welch
couple
is a
of years.
big proponent of that.
Yes.
When I was mayor, he was a big proponent of taking the trail.
We're meeting with him on, what, Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, we're meeting with him on Thursday about the BMX track, so maybe.
But it would be a wilderness trail. It wouldn't be a paved trail or anything like that.
What is the total mileage of all of it, once it's going to be all connected?
A little over 10 miles.
10 miles. Nice.
10 square miles of city and
And 10 miles of bike path. Maybe now the edit, we'll get in the paper. We'll get some.
Yeah.
So remember Beaverland bicycle, you can start on the BMX track, go down the hill, and then
And off
head
he
out.
goes.
You're going to have to get him a tricycle, I think, one of those big ones.
One of the big ones with the thing.
Yeah, with a basket
Do you ever see,
on it.
is there any way, and I know you probably could on the trail, is there a way to measure the usership, or is there any way that we'll be able to figure out?
There's some electronic devices that you can post at trail stations. Actually, we're going to try that. I have one that I want to try at the Outfall Canal once that's built.
It would be interesting to see what,
Because there is a lot more use of the Outfall Canal than people realize.
Really? Yeah, I see people down there quite a bit.
Well, and it also goes to our ecotourism goals.
Right.
I'd be curious to ask Becky, how popular would that be amongst bike enthusiasts to have 10 miles of continuous trail in one city?
Well,
Do you mind if I ask
No,
that?
that's okay, yeah.
One of the most popular trails will be the one from Dunkirk to the Motley Bay Southern.
Well, I'm just curious how attractive this will be to the bike enthusiasts, because you're
Becky
very...
Afonso, 250 Strathmore Avenue. Actually, just recently, I hosted a Oldsmar Trail tour for 7 people, including the park manager of the Upper Tampa Bay Trail. And we pretty much went from my house, which is South Racetrack Road, Lafayette, Shore Drive. We snuck through that section behind the railroad tracks, went through Sheffield and got to Curlew. And we stopped at the canal, and I mentioned we were at Curlew, and that was McMullen Booth, and they couldn't believe it.
That they had ridden.
We had gotten
there.
from Racetrack Road to McMullen Booth without touching Tampa Road or Curlew. We then went to Panera Bread and had a little snack and then rode it back. And it was 8 miles, I think, from my house to that section of Curlew. And that's actually something I'm going to come back and challenge council and city staff as far as how to use this trail for commuting as an alternative means of transportation. It was something that I used from my house to go to the movies. When you have enough time, you can get anywhere with either walking or bicycling. So it's just a matter of planning that type of thing in advance. The people that came over was a group from Tampa, and they had no idea that existed. They loved it. They want me to host it again. They posted it on Facebook. I got even more people interested in wanting to come back and see it. And there's potential there for this trail system for the recreational rider to just go out and ride 16 miles and still support local business.
Right.
So I love it. I loved hosting it, and I am going to do it again.
Good, that's awesome.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. And I think once the thing is up and running, it's about letting people know that it's there through things that you're doing, Becky, and other things. So thank you for the input. I have any other questions for Lynn?
No, just happy.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Anything else?
No, I'm done, thank you.
You are? That was quick. City clerk.
Item number 13, approval of the 2014 city seal use. This is an annual approval that happens. It's dictated by a statute that if any outside agencies are going to use their city seal, that the governing body needs to approve it. And tonight we're asking for you to approve American Cancer Society for the Relay for Life, Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce for the shared events, Oldsmar Cares, and Holiday Sharing Fund to approve the use of the city seal.
Anybody have a problem? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, I'll second her.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Anything else?
That's all I have.
City council, only a couple things. Council comments? Maybe I'll leave you to last.
That's a good idea.
Councilmember Norris.
I'm going to be quick. Prayers to Janice. Always prayers to Janice and love to Janice. And everybody, please do not forget Oldsmar Cares Gala coming up on the 13th. He said there's 140 tickets still to sell. We got to sell those tickets. And that's it. I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I can't say anything without wishing people happy birthday.
I forgot,
At
yeah.
the last council meeting, failed to realize that it was Marie's birthday, like the very next day after she presented, and Deb's birthday was like a week prior, so saying happy
I'm really
birthday.
disappointed.
I know, I failed my duties. But happy birthday, Marie and Deb, and thank you guys for everything that you do. And also, because I didn't get to wish Linda Calatius a happy retirement too, since she was very well known in the planning and permanent department. February 16th, we're going to do a historical walk, a home tour, so I will lead the walk. It's going to benefit Relay for Life. This particular walk will benefit the Golair Village team. I am on the city's team and the Golairs team. February 16th, the weekend after Valentine's Day at 10 a.m. It'll start right out front of the Historical Society, and my home will be open on the tour. The Historical Society will be open. I'm actually working on one resident with a very beautiful, large, historic pink house to see if he'll open his home for the tour as well. And so I'm very excited about that opportunity. Suggested donation we did last year was $20. So of course the walk is free, but the donation supports the Historical Society and of course Relay for Life. So wanted to mention that. We're working on finalizing it, and we'll provide Oldsmar water and snacks and wear comfortable walking shoes. And then lastly, I don't know if you want to mention if it was baked, but the Relay for Life garage sale.
Oh, yes, well, it'll be, we can mention it closer to the date, but it'll be March 1st and 2nd, and then probably the following weekend as well.
And that will benefit the city's Relay for Life team, and that will be at your house?
Yes.
And Ann needs lots of support and volunteers for the garage sale also. And of course, Janice, thinking of you, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I follow y'all with Janice and our support and our love for her, and you are always in our minds and our hearts. When you drive down Tampa Road and you cross the railroad tracks and you look over here towards the south, all you see is this big white nothing building. That one across the street. That needs to be painted to make a statement from Tampa Road, like the library makes a statement.
City Hall?
City Hall.
I was thinking of that today.
It is horrible.
It does
looking.
look bad.
We need to make a statement over there.
Taking a note.
And I know that, and I agree with the city manager, we have some paint coordinated experts on this council.
Yes, we do.
When is it due for being repainted or whatever?
I'm not really sure.
I noticed it today. It's looking shabby.
It is pretty bland.
Yeah.
I drive by it and that's exactly what it is. I drive by and I go,
It doesn't say a thing to you.
Well, it's not just that it's white. It's also, you can start seeing the elements get into it.
Yeah.
Well, and also, we've always talked about this, we have a beautiful red roof in the beginning. Now it's a black roof that needs to be cleaned. It's tile, but I've always talked to the city manager about that. But this really needs to be dressed up to make a statement
I
from
agree.
Tampa Road. And other than that, Mayor, my third book's at the library. You can buy it now. And I know I got a good critique from Gabby, I think. And that means a lot. Thank you. Just thank you all who you are.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Tom.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything, except a long time ago.
Yep. Thoughts and prayers
We have
also.
all grandfathers up here now, don't we? Are you a grandpa there? You are too.
Gabby's not a grandfather.
No, I mean grandfathers.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if you know how that whole thing works, but no. Thoughts and prayers with Janice. Did we meet for our committee prior to that? Because she did participate. That was neat. She got to participate in our executive session
Yeah, that was neat.
And that was, she was there, and her voice is struggling, but she was there and provided input as we would only expect Janice to do. So thoughts and prayers go out to you. A couple of things, too. I went by Hayes Park Village today, and I talked to Bruce about it and to see where it was at, and it's exciting to see that coming along and dirt moving and pipes sticking out of the ground and storm inlets. Being a storm guy, that excites me, so maybe I'll go around and visit all the storm inlets like you do the lift stations.
I've been taking photographs of it.
Have you? Oh, I'm sure you have, yeah. And I also went and stopped by Wellington Estates, drove by there, and then went to the MI office, which we're doing our We Mean Business on Friday, to meet with those guys as well. They've already got reservations on 5 homes out there, which is great. They should be probably paving the road, State Street and the internal road in the next very short time, week to 2 weeks, and probably breaking ground on the first house very shortly. So that's exciting for the city of Oldsmar. I have one thing that I wanted to bring up. Ann and I have talked about this and just would like to get the council and city managers and, Ann's input. We do that Citizens Advisory Council. And it started out, how long have we been doing it? Probably.
The Neighborhood Advisory
Neighborhood
Council?
Advisory, I mean. 5 years, 4 years?
I'd guess 5 years at least.
Or 5 years. And when it started out, I mean, social media wasn't as big as it is, and all the, various forms of communicating. And I just wonder, we wonder if it's hit a brick wall a little bit, and that we're not because it's not successful, but I think people are using other avenues to get the answers that they need. We meet quarterly, and it's so easy to get a spontaneous answer. And as Ann said, it used to be an opportunity for us to bring the associations together and for them to share, their bad problems or experiences with the other associations. And that's really kind of has fallen to the wayside. And, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or if we want to figure out what to do, or we talked about some form of electronic communication and instead of blog, on our thing that allows for sharing of information with the associations. But I'm not saying to do away with it, but it doesn't seem like it's having the,
It doesn't have any effect at all.
It doesn't
When
have
I was there was only about 2 or 3
Who
people.
was at it last time? There was 2 people last time. Dan was there.
I took somebody's place.
It was
Dan
this
and-
month, and
and
there were only
Richard.
2 people there.
And it was Richard's birthday on Sunday, FYI. You'll have to-
So
I don't think it serves a purpose.
What are your thoughts on it?
When?
Sunday.
I don't know all these birthdays.
Because he came to the meeting.
Birthday assistant, little elf or
continuous.
something.
You think? I mean, does anybody else?
To the meeting.
And I don't mind discontinuing, but I'd also like us to replace it probably, or look at replacing it with some other form of, Deb does a great job with the, the Facebook and that was one of our things, was communications and through our website. And I think we've done a really good job at increasing our, our Twitter followers or whatever they're called.
Why don't you contact all the presidents of all the homeowners associations and get their feedback?
Well, we reach out to them, and their feedback is they don't come to the meetings, kind
They
of.
don't show up.
I agree with you.
And and I think,
Unless there's an issue. or
yeah,
something.
and if they do, they come here and
Right.
speak before us, and, I don't mind going, but it doesn't seem like it's having the bang
Yeah,
that it originally did. And, maybe we reach out to the associations, and if we come out with some idea of how we might do it and ask their input as to how, you would like us to communicate. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's doing what it originally
I
did.
agree, it should be discontinued.
Anybody else?
I agree.
And replaced,
agree.
and hopefully
I agree.
replaced with some other form of,
Right. If only a couple people are coming out each time, I agree.
okay. That's not a problem with me. That's the only thing I had. I liked it. I thought it was great, but they're
Then
becoming,
they can personally appeal to all of us if they have a problem.
yeah. We're all out there and available, and, technology is, doing away with a lot of things, I don't even talk to my mom anymore. I just tweet her and text her and.
You tweet her?
Probably shouldn't say
I
that
don't
out loud.
tweet, I don't do
You're a
that.
tweeter?
Nah. I tweet once in a while. I text my mom. She's actually in New Zealand and Australia right now, traveling. So she was there when they had the earthquake. She was at the or the Australian Open when it was 108 degrees. So she picked a bad time to go over there. But that's it. Congratulations, Tom, on being a grandpa.
Thank you.
And having a new fishing partner at some point along the road there. So I need a motion to approve the February 4th agenda.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.